My name's Ty Burk. I'm the owner-operator at Westfold Farms, and we're out here trying to preserve and restore heritage breed poultry. We're working with the Delaware breed right now to produce broilers for the Austin market. Fortunately, my wife has a degree in public health, so she's been really helpful in establishing a biosecurity plan. One of the primary things that we're focusing on is footwear, just because that's what comes in contact with the ground on the farm. So I personally have a set of farm shoes that never leave the farm, and we have a set of shoes inside the breeder barn that are specifically for that, with a foot bath in between. So those shoes remain in the foot bath and are only worn inside the breeder barn, and once I come outside I change back to my farm shoes, and then if I ever go off farm, there's again a separate set of shoes there, so that the idea being that there's nothing that I track in from off farm to on farm, and specifically inside the breeder pens. So for our foot bath, we went to Home Depot and bought a black and yellow Tupperware that was tall enough to keep our boots in, and so we put about 1 inch of water in there, and then we use a Virkon disinfectant. It dissolves in the water like Alka-Seltzer, and then once you've reached the right percentage of solution, you can just use that as your foot bath, and it's got a tight lid that goes on it, so it's waterproof, so you can leave it out there, and you will have to change out the solution occasionally, but it's going to last a good while as a foot bath. And the shoes that I mentioned that I wear specifically in the breeder barn, they stay in that solution. As far as a place to start, footwear is, I think, a great place to start, and the most basic. You can get booties at Home Depot. You can get some special ones that are tall enough for boots, and they're relatively inexpensive. So if you're just starting and it seems a little overwhelming, I would just start with booties. And if you want to incorporate a foot bath at some point, they're not that complex. Again, relatively inexpensive. We got our disinfectant from Amazon. We got the Tupperware from Home Depot. None of it cost more than $50. And the booties are, the basic ones we got from Home Depot are a little bit more expensive, but you're talking 10, 12 bucks for a packages of 20 or 25 or something. So just start with some basic things like that, and reducing who you allow into your breeding pens. That costs you nothing. So just being mindful of those type things with footwear specifically is a great place to start, and it's relatively inexpensive, so it's not going to add a lot to your expenses. So I would start there, and then you know, you don't have to redesign your farm or anything like that for those considerations. But that's where I would start, and then you can look into, you know, covering up runs and find a way to address vehicles that come on farm and things like that. And I would encourage people to realize that, you know, we're working with heritage breeds, and part of what we're trying to breed into them is a hardiness. So we want to have good biosecurity standards and regulations, but we don't want to overdo it. This isn't a CAFO or an enclosed feeding and breeding and growing operation, so we want them to have some good hardiness to them, so we don't feel like we have to have it 100% sterile all the time, but shooting for that is kind of the ideal, so that when these birds get out on pasture, they're able to withstand the natural things that are in the environment and still thrive. So we're also kind of trying to breed that into them. So yeah, you don't let it be overwhelming. Start small with footwear and then grow out from there.
To learn more about biosecurity for pastured and organic poultry flocks, visit our website at www.atra.ncat.org. The work of this project was made possible by a grant from the Southern Extension Risk Management and Education Center, a project funded by the United States Department of Agriculture, National Institute for Food and Agriculture.